Persona 5 Royal is a game that feels familiar while simultaneously feeling new and fresh. A big reason for this is due to all the changes and additions to the game aside from just the new characters and story segments. And it's because of all these new changes and additions that even though parts of the game may feel familiar, the same strategies that worked in the original may not necessarily work in Royal. Today, I'm going to go over some of my top tips for Persona 5 Royal based on the 300 hours I put into the game. Before we get into the video, I would just like to remind you that I stream most days over on Twitch at twitch.tv/RosalindGaming, link in the description down below. Also, if you want a more in-depth look at some of the topics I'm going to discuss in this video, be sure to check out my series on all the changes and additions to Persona 5 Royal, which is also linked in the video description below. Let's start things off with what is perhaps my biggest tip: use Makoto in battle. Makoto was already very strong in the original game, but changes to Royal have made her even better. For starters, she learns Makajama, or Makajam? I'm honestly not too sure about the English translation for the ability, but either way, it's a single target debuff ability that applies the Forget status ailment. In case you weren't aware, status ailments have been nerfed in Royal. Not only do they not last as long, far more enemies are resistant or flat out immune to a lot of them. The exception to this is Forget, which works on far more enemies than it probably should. By having a reliable source of this status ailment in your party at all times, you can essentially trivialize some of the game's hardest encounters. It also provides you with a reliable source of technical damage, which has also been significantly buffed in Royal. Oh, and it works on the game's new super boss too. Aside from learning Forget, Makoto also gains a nice boost from the addition of the Jazz Club, which provides you the option of teaching her abilities such as Concentrate and Spellmaster, turning Makoto into a potential damage powerhouse. Moving on to something that is less of a tip and more of a word of caution, be sure to check the abilities you and your party members learned carefully before learning or forgetting any of them. The reason for this is that a number of abilities have received changes to them. As an example, let's take a look at Swift Strike. In the original game, Swift Strike was a very strong ability that dealt 3 to 4 hits of light physical damage. In Royal, this has been significantly reduced, now only doing 2 to 4 hits of minuscule damage. Just make sure that you are checking your abilities carefully when choosing which to learn and which to keep. Sticking with the theme of battle, let's talk about technical damage and baton pass. Both of these features have received buffs to them in Persona 5 Royal and now have ranks associated with them. You can rank them up through the activities at the darts and billiards bar in Kichijoji. Each rank of baton pass provides a damage boost to the character receiving the baton pass and adds extra effects such as an HP heal and an SP heal. Ranks of technical damage increase the amount of technical damage you deal, with rank 4 increasing the chance of downing an enemy with technical damage to 100%. You rank up baton pass via darts, and it's done on a per character basis. In other words, each character has their own baton pass rank. Try to let your party members be the ones to reach 0 when playing darts, as that will give them 2 ranks of baton pass instead of just 1, among other benefits. For technical damage, you rank that up via billiards, and it's a party-wide rank. For the most part, you won't need to choose one or the other, but if you do, I highly recommend going for technical ranks first. Not only will this help you out far more than baton pass will in battle, getting to rank 4 as quickly as possible will let you start working towards the hidden technical rank even quicker. Putting an emphasis on technical damage will also provide you with a reliable path to downing many of the late game enemies who now have no weaknesses and or are immune to physical damage. Switching gears a bit, let's talk about mementos, or more specifically, the new stamp collection system within mementos. On your first visit, the new character Jose will introduce you to his shop and a stamp collection system. As you explore mementos, you'll collect these stamps and you can use those stamps to alter different properties of mementos, such as experience gained, money gained, and items obtained. I highly recommend investing in money gained for a number of reasons. First, because of Royal's increased length, you will naturally find yourself in the mid to high 90s in terms of levels by the end of the game, even without grinding, making investment into experience a bit wasted. Second, the ability to fuse Persona above your level is now a rank 5 perk of the Strength Arcana instead of rank 10. Increasing the amount of money you gain and then investing that into fusing Persona above your level will provide you with a bigger and more efficient boost in power than leveling will. Switching gears once again, let's talk about efficient ways to spend your time around LeBlanc. As you may have heard, you have a little bit more freedom at nighttime now. What this freedom amounts to is the ability to do anything you normally could do within LeBlanc accept further confidant ranks on nights that you would otherwise have been forced to go to sleep. While this may not seem like enough to some, it's actually a very important change. You see, in Royal, things like the cafe in Shibuya and Big Bang Burger are no longer available at the very beginning of the game. Instead, you must wait until May to access them. This can make gaining points and stats, such as Charm and Guts, seem more restrictive than before. In actuality, this isn't the case. All those nights you would have spent just going to sleep, you can now spend reading books at the bar counter, studying, or watching DVDs to increase your social stats. If you've seen my video on the technical damage changes, then you'll know that this ability to read books in LeBlanc is an especially good one. I should also mention that the crossword puzzle no longer takes up time, so it is in your best interest to solve it at every possible chance you get until your knowledge is maxed out. This next tip is also more of a word of caution. For the most part, you have clear up until the end of January to continue ranking up confidants, but there are a few exceptions and things to look out for. For one, Kawakami and the new character Maruki are both Shujin Academy staff and are thus unavailable during summer. For Kawakami, this is really only an issue if you wish to see her event scene in Hawaii. As for Maruki, you can no longer rank him up after November 17th. Also locked after November 17th is Akechi. For those of you who played the original game, pay special attention to him because he no longer ranks up via the main story. Another confidant to watch out for is the new character Kasumi, who will become locked if you don't get her to rank 5 by December 22nd. Finally, another confidant that may throw off those who played the original game is Yoshida, the Sun Arcana. Yoshida is now only available at nights, on Sundays and holidays, and the last day you can spend time with him is November 14th, making him one of the most restrictive confidants in the game. And now for a few miscellaneous tips. You know those pieces of armor that you get from palaces and mementos that you need to wash? If you don't need them, sell them to the vintage clothing store in Kichijoji instead of washing them and then selling them for a bigger profit. If you're concerned about having enough time to max out all confidants and max out all your social stats, strive to complete each palace in one trip. Also, consider prioritizing Takemi's confidant until rank 5 when SP adhesive 3s become available to help with this. Along those same lines, try to limit how often you head into mementos. Personally, I try to wait until I have at least 4 to 5 requests saved up before I go whenever possible. If you decide to purchase the DLC, or if it comes with your copy of the game, hold off on installing any of the DLC that contain DLC Persona. Adding the DLC Persona to the game will inhibit your ability to more easily fuse other Persona as they are added to the fusion calculations. In some cases, having the DLC Persona installed will reduce the number of possible fusion combinations of a Persona from 15 down to only 2. And in some extreme cases, they can prevent you from fusing a Persona until the very end of the game. Oh, and a few more tips with regards to ranking up your confidants and social stats. Don't forget to visit the juice stand every Sunday in Shibuya for an easy boost to one social stat. As for confidants, prioritizing Chihaya and using her perk to increase your relationship with someone is a great way to get extra affection with a confidant. You can also purchase postcards that resemble calling cards once a week between September 1st and October 10th. Take these postcards to the mailbox in Yongenjaya and send them to whichever confidant you wish to raise your affection with for extra affection points without taking up a time slot. Also, as per usual with Persona titles, make sure that you have a Persona whose Arcana corresponds with the Arcana of the confidant you are spending time with or gaining affection points with to increase the amount of points earned. And finally, plan ahead. So long as you do even a little bit of planning and take note of when certain confidants are available and what activities boost which social stats, it's very possible to max out all confidants and social stats on a single playthrough with literal months of free time to spare. And that about does it for my top tips. There are obviously a lot more pieces of advice and tips I could give, but I don't want to keep this video going on for too long. If there is anything you're curious about or want advice on, feel free to ask me in the comments below. Or you can hit me up when I'm streaming live over on Twitch. Also, I know I mentioned this at the very beginning, but be sure to check out my other videos on Persona 5 Royal, as I do go in depth on a number of the topics discussed in this video, as well as others not discussed here. But as always, if you found this video helpful and informative, please be sure to leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel. Until next time, take care.